Thank you for joining us on the Winning at Selling podcast. I'm Bill Helkamp of Reach Development Systems, and with me is Professor Scott Plum of the Minnesota Sales Institute.
The most successful salespeople will admit that the best leads they receive are from referrals. Referrals serve as evidence of a transfer of trust. What have we shared about building trust in the sales conversation? It's the only way to receive honest answers. When the timing is right and the trust is high, you increase your chances of converting a lead to a commitment. So think about who you'd like to refer this episode to as Bill and I discuss referrals, asking, giving, and receiving, and other miraculous material on episode 604 of the Winning at Selling podcast.
Scott, that sounds like a really great project. I know I don't get referrals as often as I should, so I'm excited about this part.
And I kind of, weaved referrals into the opening. Encourage our listeners to refer this episode on social media and their colleagues and their broadcast emails about the importance of receiving referrals. And we're going to cover that after we do the book, The Psychology of Money.
Well, this is our first shot at The Psychology of Money. I know you've read it in the past and advised me to read it. So we're going to talk about introduction in chapter 1. I really like the contrasting stories of Ronald Reed, who was a gas station attendant, a janitor. He lived an unassuming life, and he died with over $8 million in assets.
Wow.
He just slowly invested in blue chip stocks. I remember a story about a teacher who used her tea bags about 20 times, and she ended up with $5 or $6 million when she passed away. And then there was Richard Fuscone. He had an MBA in finance. He was a finance guy. He was living large, had the house with the pool, with the enclosed pool, and he lost everything in the 2008 financial crisis, made a few bad decisions. So even with all of our education, our history, societies doesn't seem to be getting any better at investing. And to quote the book, most of the reason why, I believe, is that we think about and are taught about money in ways that are too much like physics with rules and laws, and not enough like psychology with emotions and nuance. And since the name of the book is The Psychology of Money, Scott, I'm betting we're going to talk about emotions and nuance. What do you think?
We're going to talk about the conceptual barriers and the relationship that we all have with money. And like I've said, the dollar bill is just an instrument used to exchange value. And a budget is a predetermined amount before a decision needs to be made. But some of the things that I took away from the chapter that I think are very powerful, kind of tweetable one-liners or two sentences are: doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. The behavior is hard to teach, even for really smart people. I can see that so accurately in all of human behavior is, smart people make bad decisions.
Well, and I think too, my father was very interested in investing, and he used to keep charts. This was when he did all of his charts by hand. Each stock had a high, low, close, and he wrote that down, and he had these pages long charts, and that gave him a good feeling for what stocks were going to do because he charted each one of them individually. But he never made a lot of money in all of his investing. We used to kind of laugh because, he did all this work and we seem to always lose money at investing. Wow. And so I think it's a challenging time. And what that meant to me was I was always kind of bored by it. I don't really like messing with investments. Some people find it fascinating. So I tend to turn it over to other people, and that's not always a good idea either. So anyway, let's go into chapter 1 called No One's Crazy, although we think everyone else is crazy except us. The subtitle to this is Your Personal Experiences with Money make up maybe 0.000000001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works. And what he's saying is our own personal experiences are so strong that it's really hard to overcome and look at money in any way other than through the lens. We've talked about this, the lens of our own experience. And so each of us has this different story and different experience. And then what seems to make sense to us is going to seem crazy to someone with a different experience. So he talked about, life events. And obviously most of our listeners probably didn't live through the Great Depression, but our parents did.
Yes.
And it affected how they experience life and money. And I'm a very frugal person. So my kids grew up on the dollar menu at McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever. And the funny thing was they started dating and they take their girlfriends, for some quick fast food, and they'd their girlfriend would say, "I want a number 8." And he go, "A number 8? What the heck is that? You can make up a number 8. That's $9. You can get that for $3 on the dollar menu." And they're like, "Dollar menu? What's a dollar menu?" So there's two different experiences there.
They married up.
Well, all of my kids have already bought a house and have
Wow.
savings and have their college paid off.
Wow. Wow.
So and one of my sons actually paid off his wife's college as well.
Wow.
So yes, there is a different experience with money. My wife works at Target sometimes, and she'll see these people who are making $16, $15 an hour buying a $7 latte
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
or an $8 latte at Starbucks every day,
Wow.
which is a half hour of one of their work, one
Mm-hmm.
hour of their work, right? So it's 1/16 of their total income for that day they're spending on a latte.
Wow.
They're
Yeah.
spending on a drink when there's free coffee in the break room,
Mm.
or you can bring a pot and put it in the Keurig. So how we spend money is kind of crazy, right?
It
And
is.
and I remember a friend of mine that I knew, Scott, Cliff, and he worked at a family business. And I remember him saying, he goes, "I envision money as this kind of stream. It's always flowing by you, and I just need to grab what I want." And I
Ah.
thought, I can't even envision money that way. And from what I remember, he was fairly successful. He was going to inherit the family business, which was successful. But I don't know long term. Did his attitude, money's just there to grab and you just take what you want, was that going to help him, or did he go broke at some time? I don't know. I lost touch with him. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I want to die having $8 million in the bank. I don't have any children, so I don't have any heirs, but I really want to die kind of broke, owing the IRS money. That's my perfect plan right now. I mean, I've lived life, I've burned it all up in one way or another, either giving it away or experiences, or a decent meal at a restaurant, or just a nice pair of shoes. But the relationship with money is obviously very conceptual and very psychological, and I'm really looking forward to digging into this book and covering that area. But I mean, did this guy that died with $8 million, did he live a happy life? And this is kind of the quandary of the human experience: is, are we willing to delay gratification, or in this culture right now today, if it feels good, do it? I mean, a $7 latte, but in reality, it probably takes an hour to pay for that, with all of the
yeah, well, no, everything's
tax and
taken out.
post-tax
Yep,
and
yep.
everything else. I mean, I thought you were going to go and say that they were driving a $45,000 brand new vehicle.
I've seen that too. I've
Yeah.
seen that too. And she's mentioned that peers of hers, workers, they're buying a new Dodge Challenger. It's
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
well, where are you getting the money for this at
Wow.
$16 an hour?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just it's just amazing. And we'll see people, and you've seen this too. You go into Target, here's a 40-year-old man
Mm-hmm.
working the register. So maybe he's worked there long enough, he's up to $18 an hour or $20. You can't live on that.
No, you can't.
You can't live on that in this society. So how do they do it and afford anything? And
Unfortunately, the government is fixing that.
yeah, well, I've met people like Richard Fascone, who spend every cent that they make.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
when trouble happens,
Right.
who's going to take care of them? Everything's gone. So I think it's different. One of the things that astounded me about this was he was talking about retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Age 65, we think of retirement as early as just after World War II. Still 50% of men made up most of the workforce then. Only 50% were retiring at age 65, even
Wow.
though that was when you could retire with Social Security. Social Security was only paying about $1,000 a month,
Hmm.
back after that. Now, maybe that was a lot of money, but it wasn't until the 80s that he says that Social Security's checks inched above $1,000 a month.
Wow.
And then we didn't even have 401ks until 1978, which of course 401ks came in because companies no longer did pensions.
Mm-hmm.
So my father worked for the military. He got a pension. My father-in-law worked for Caterpillar Tractor for 40 years. I think he got a pension. But that pension stuff is all gone. Maybe in the some of the auto industry, and I know all government workers seem to get a pension, but it's a different world out there. And I didn't realize it all happened while we were growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of changes during that time in our country.
I was just talking with a guy yesterday about how my parents had a stable job, but the people in between my parents and me, they were all getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw the layoff program. Company gets bought out, they lay off half the workers. Company hits a little bit of the rocks, they lay off 1,000 people. We're seeing that again at a number of companies. And so that establishment, again, a mindset that said companies will take care of you, that all disappeared.
Yeah.
So and how we work with companies, 95% of people are employed out there. How they work with those companies is how they are going to envision money.
Yeah, yeah, very true. And how we envision money is very similar to the conceptual barriers of money as it is the conceptual barriers of asking for referrals.
Well, let's talk about referrals. But before we do that, next week, Psychology of Money, chapters 2 and 3. So let's talk about referrals, Scott.
So our topic today is referrals, asking, giving, and receiving. And I think the first place to start, again, is the conceptual barriers, because as we know, if we cannot believe it, we cannot achieve it. And our beliefs determine our behaviors, and our beliefs are determined by experiences that we have. If we can understand our beliefs, we can understand the experiences that create our beliefs, we have a chance of changing them. So I'd like to throw out 4 different beliefs that I've heard, real life experiences, folks. This is so new that Oprah doesn't even know about it. And Oprah told me to stop name dropping more than once. I
You
got
stole
that
that from
joke.
Joe Schmidt.
I did. I was just going to give him credit for it too.
Yeah, yeah.
So those listeners
Joe
that are
Schmidt,
paying
whom
attention,
we know very well. We know
yeah,
Joe
we
Schmidt.
do. We do know Joe Schmidt
Talk
very
about
well.
name dropping.
But so here are 4 beliefs that I think we need to overcome. Is number 1, and this is the most common one: I can't ask for a referral from somebody who didn't buy from me. It's like, wait a minute, why not? Well, they didn't buy it from me. They don't know what it's like to work with me. They don't know what it's like to, have our product. And
Right.
is this real? Yes. Is it true? It's not true, folks. It is not true. I buy from people in my family when it comes to car insurance or homeowners insurance or other services, but they might not be a good fit for everybody that I talk to. So I might give a referral to somebody, to another agent that I never bought from. Oh, okay. So if you meet with somebody and you have a great conversation with somebody and there's a lot of information need and exchanged, you're not the best fit for them, then it's okay for you to refer them on to somebody else. And it's okay for you to ask a referral for somebody that meets your qualifications, that's a better fit for you as a salesperson when you're talking to a prospect and they didn't buy. So it's okay to do that.
Yeah, I think what we have to think about is, why didn't they buy? Was it not a good fit? Was the timing not right? Was the budget restraints that they were under something that couldn't be overcome? That doesn't mean that you didn't do a good job through your process. Now, if they didn't
Right.
buy because you were an idiot and you
That's
didn't
the
do a
point.
good job and you didn't follow up and they finally got mad at you, that might not be the person to talk to about a referral. But if everything went according to the plan, and yet there just wasn't a mismatch, or they decided on a different product, or it was out of their hands, then the referral is appropriate because you did everything you promised you would do.
Right. So every conversation that you have that's beneficial, that's valuable, that's a good exchange of information, it's okay to ask for referral. So number 2 is not asking because you're sending a message of seeking more clients, and your new prospect, now a client, thinks that you're going to be spending less time with them. Come on. That is
That's not
simply
even
not
make
true.
sense. That doesn't even make any
I've
sense.
I've heard it. I've heard it before. And I'm like, tell me more about that. And it's like, aren't we scalable? Don't we have the capacity to do more without jeopardizing the service and relationships that we have with everybody that we've sold to? Yes, we do. We have the ability to scale. So we can ask for referrals, knowing that we're going to be providing great service to everybody that we talk to.
No, we can only have one client at a time, and then
No,
we're full.
no, we can't.
Oh,
Can't.
plus it may take 6 months for you to land that client.
It could. It
So
could.
why do you think you're gonna I just started doing business with you and magically you're gonna give me a referral and all of a sudden we're going to have 5 new businesses to deal with. It's just not going to happen.
Here's the number 3 is we're not interested in growing our business. Can you imagine that you're meeting with a lead, a prospect about what you do, and you have an attitude of we're not interested in growing our business? I had a financial planner. I met with him every single year, and I said, I said, Bob, how come you don't ever ask me for a referral? He goes, well, that's just not the way I work. I go, what do you mean that's not the way you work? You're sending me a message that you don't want to grow your business. You're sending me a message that you don't think you're going to be around, when in reality, you should want to grow your business by asking for referrals from people that you work with. And so when you are not asking for referrals, you are sending a message to your prospects that are sophisticated,
Yeah.
that you do not want to grow your business.
I think they just don't know how. And
Well,
hopefully we'll get into that. But
yeah, yeah.
I'm embarrassed to, or, there's a lot of things going on in that background that say, it's not that I'm not interested in growing my business, but I think they're just embarrassed or they don't know how to do it well.
So the second part of this story with Bob is I'm telling Bob, I go, Bob, I get the feeling that you do not want more clients like me. You do not want more clients like me. Do I not have enough money for you to manage? Am I not important enough for you to spend time with me? By not asking for a referral, you're telling me that you do not want to grow your business with people like me. Now, some folks, sometimes this is subconscious with a prospect when they leave your office going, something was missing. I don't feel like, that they want to have more people like me around. I didn't feel like, I fit in for one reason or another. And we cannot control these feelings that other people have. And most of the time we never know about them. So we have to be cautious about our hesitancy to grow our business publicly by asking for referrals.
Well, I wouldn't ask for a referral from you, Scott, because I'm not sure I would want more
Never know
customers
who
like
I
you.
hang around. So that's the
I know
conceptual
people that are
barrier.
a lot richer than me.
So we'll get into the technical barrier. So we're going to talk about how to ask for referrals and when and how often to ask. So I want to start off by asking for referrals. So here's kind of a conversation, and write it down or grab whatever you feel is useful to our listeners. I start off by saying, I really want to express my gratitude to you for working with me. I have enjoyed our conversations in the past and hope you feel the same. You are a perfect fit for my business, and I believe you hang around other people like you. And I want to grow my business by working with people just like you. Who do you know you'd feel comfortable introducing me to where I could have the same conversations we have? That is the simplest way to ask for a referral. Bill, do you have a different way, or do you want to add on to that?
Well, I really like this process. What I find is when I ask the question, who do you know? People's minds tend to go blank. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I like to do is describe the person, right? So let me tell you who I usually do business with, Scott. I do business with people that are in the high levels of their organization, maybe a director level or a C level. And what they find that's important to them is that their people are really crucial to their growth. They really believe in the power of their people. Who do you know that works high level in an organization that really believes in their people? And by giving them some kind of a description, that gives them time to think about somebody that might fall into that category. So I
Mm-hmm.
like your beginning. I just like to give a little more description than just who do you know?
Yeah, yeah. And who do you know is a leading question. So sometimes that can be a little bit more on the assertive side. Again, if we have trust and rapport established, then it's going to be easier for us to ask that than just say, I'm kind of curious. Is there anybody that you know that you'd feel comfortable introducing me to?
Right.
That's a little bit more passive, and that's a little softer approach. And again, this process has to match your style. If you're trying to do a process that doesn't match your style, it's going to make you uncomfortable and it's going to make them uncomfortable. So either find a way that works with your style, or step up your style to be able to be a little bit more assertive in questions like this.
Well, I think, whenever we look at a process like you've just outlined, what I would encourage our listeners to do, if you're not asking referrals, take Scott's process and write it down and then practice it a little bit until it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more natural, and then
Yeah.
see how it works. And then when you do it with a few customers, you're going to make some adaptations, but you're not going to get better at it thinking about it and thinking maybe
Right.
someday I'll ask for a referral if I can find a process that works for me. Find
Mm-hmm.
a process that works like Scott's, and then make it adapt itself to who you are. by
Yeah.
practice and trial.
Right. Right. So when to ask for a referral, every conversation within reason, of course, and change it up, have fun with the process, have fun with the questions, be predictable without being a humdrum. And what's going to happen over time is that your network is going to know that you are going to ask them for a referral. And over time, they're going to start giving you referrals without you even asking for them because you have become kind of a process oriented, routine focused. When you talk to everybody, you always ask them for referral, and they're complimented by that. They truly, truly are. But you have to believe that people are complimented when you ask them to a referral to other people that they know and hang around. The next item is giving referrals. So let's say that you give a referral to somebody, and I'm going to go through some characters on this because it could be a little easier for us to kind of navigate the map. So
Okay.
there's three people involved. There's a salesperson. We'll call her Sally. Salesperson S, Sally. Lead is Larry. Resource is Randy. So you follow up with a call to the recipient, Randy, of a referral. You want to make sure that the referral is a match to the person that you're sending to Randy. So you want to follow up on that experience that Larry, the lead, has, and make sure that Larry and Randy, there's a good fit so that you know who to refer each other to be able to build their business and have a good, effective conversation. And that first lead goes bad, the future ones are going to go bad too. So you've got to inspect what you expect. I think, who said that? Was that Ronald Reagan that said that? So when we're giving referrals, we need to make sure that it's a good fit on both sides, and really look at your network. Is Larry's. There's a bunch of leads that want to meet someone that and Randy's, the resources, to make sure that Larry follows through and makes that call to Randy. So you call Randy up and you say, Randy, I got this lead. Larry is interested in meeting you. Do you want to call Larry, or should I ask Larry to call you? And then you figure that out. And what's most important is that, if Larry is going to be the one that's going to initiate the call and Larry doesn't call Randy, it's going to appear that you're associating yourself with unreliable people. Larry, the lead, is unreliable, and the value of your network is going to decrease. So Randy's going to go, what kind of people are you hanging around that you're referring them to me? You asked me to call them. Let's say it worked that way. You asked Randy to call Larry. Randy called Larry a couple times. Larry never responded. And then all of a sudden Randy's going, what kind of people are you hanging around? And then I would say to Larry, you wanted to meet Randy. How come you didn't follow through on it? Do you
Right.
understand how this makes me look? Do you think I'm going to refer anybody else to you when you're asking to tap into my network of resources? I'm not going to do it because you don't follow through.
Well, let me tell you a quick story
Yeah.
that happened to me actually as I was starting my business. I got a referral for a guy over in St. Paul, Jay, and I didn't deal with it right away. That's a big mistake, not dealing with your referrals right away. And I let it sit on my desk till it started to stink. So I hid it underneath stuff so I wouldn't see it anymore because it was getting old and stinky. And then the guy who gave me the referral called me. He said, "Have you called Jay yet?" And I said, I haven't done that. Embarrassed, right? And he said, "Call him. He's a good guy. He'll take your call and do it." And as soon as I hung up the phone with him, I called Jay. He became one of my best customers for over 10 years, became one of my best friends in life. It was worth every moment of making that call, but I was letting it die. So you are responsible, as you said, for making that call. And the sooner you do it, the better. Don't let it sit on your desk till it looks old and stinky.
Yeah. Wow. So true. The last one is receiving referrals. So I'm always grateful when somebody calls me up and says, "Hey, Scott, I just talked to somebody and I think you'd have a great conversation with them." Who do we know that introduces us to a lot of people in the Twin Cities? Ed Speck. How many times do we get a referral from Ed Speck? And I call Ed and, thanks for the referral, or I tell Ed when he gives me the name and phone number, write a handwritten note, always want to thank the referral source, or some personalized email. I am not in favor of financial rewards for referrals. I think that this is not my motivation.
You don't like
So,
the bird dog idea or the
well,
spiffing idea.
if you have a reputation of receiving kickbacks, then your reputation will turn from introducing great people to great people to how can I make money by passing their name on to someone else that'll pay me. And I'm just opposed to that. Now, if somebody wants to send me
It's
a
because of
thank
your
you note,
relationship with money.
Well, no, it's my relationship with my people and
Oh,
and I want to do it because I want to introduce good people to good people. That is my motivation. It is not money. However, if somebody wants to throw in a $20 gift card to, or email me something, from Amazon, I'm grateful for that.
right, right.
And
An after
after
gift.
the
Yep,
fact,
yep.
but
But it's
I'm
not
not.
part of the part. That's not part of the initial deal.
But how many times am I approached? Hey, Scott, why don't you sell my stuff? I'll give you 20%. It's like, yeah, thank you. No, I'm full. And that's not the way I roll, man. That's just not the way I roll. And I'm sorry if our listeners are the ones that approach me
Well, I
about
don't want to
that.
become an expert on your stuff, right? I
That's
want to
true too.
become.
Yeah.
I want. If I think that you do a good job, and then I will advise you to my clients because you do a good job, and you sell your own stuff. I've got my
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
stuff to sell.
Yeah. So then the next step is, you want to follow up when contact is made or attempted. So I called them, I left a message and, with the source and you tell them I called them, I left a message. So I've made an introduction and then follow up with those calls because those people may not know who you are. And you're maybe a name that's unfamiliar and you have to be persistent. And then once you make a connection with them, then give, a status update going, I made a connection with them. And this is a perfect fit. So thank you very much. I'm really grateful for the lead. And I'll keep you kind of informed on stuff that goes, day by day. I'll keep you in the loop. And, people then know that you're following up. You're representing the reputation of the person that sent the lead to you. So you're living up to the same standards they're living up to. And sometimes referrals can really increase our standard of acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior. I've sent referrals to people and they've never followed up, they've never told me what's going on. And granted, there are some industries I send a lot of leads to an attorney friend of mine, and I never ever know what goes on
Yeah, yeah.
because he won't tell me, and he
No, but he
can't
should
tell
tell
me.
you that he should be able to tell you that I've called them
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and
when I
I've
ask, I go, "Did
yeah,
you guys ever chat? To come together?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. We chatted. It was good. Okay, good. That's all I wanted to know. You
yeah,
don't have to tell
yeah.
me anything more.
But I see, I think that's true, and that's why when you receive these, you need to make sure that you follow up because the
Right.
person who gave them to you, uh, they're concerned about what's going on, and they're trying to get you together. They're trying to create new networking opportunities, and so I think that's important to let people
Hmm.
know. Hey, I called Larry, and it went really well. We're going to meet again, and we'll see how things go.
I've got a good friend that I met. I'm not even going to say the industry that they're in. I used to give them a lot of leads, and then all of a sudden, I'd give them leads, and then I'd never hear from anybody. I'd never hear from the person I referred them to or him, and then it started to become every time I talked to this person, he'd start off with an apology. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to give you any more leads because you don't take care of them,
Right,
and you are an extension of my reputation. And if you're not following through on stuff and people think that I'm hanging around you on a daily basis, they're going to think that I don't follow up on stuff. So I cut them off. You're not getting
right.
any more leads.
Right. Because I might have told that lead, "Hey, Bob's going to call you.
Yeah,
I gave your name to Bob, so, be ready if he calls and take his call." And
hmm,
and now Bob never calls and you look like an idiot.
right.
And I don't need other people to help me look like an idiot. I can do it all by myself
Exactly.
most of the time.
Luckily, I do it when I'm home alone.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Out in public, it's
one
expensive.
other idea that I had about leads
Yeah.
that I really like, and that is a top 10 list.
Mm,
Again, I think so much of the time when we ask for leads, people just get stuck and they don't know who to give us, right?
right.
Even though we say somebody like you, somebody in your kind of position, it just they get a brain cramp. So one
Mm,
other tool that I use is a top 10 list that I carry around with me, and that's the top 10 businesses I'd like to do business with.
mm,
And so if they're stuck, I might say, "Here, Scott, these are my 10 target accounts for this year. Why don't you take a look at it? Just if you know anybody of influence in any of these accounts, if you could just give me their name and number, I'll give them a call. Maybe it'll lead to something, maybe it won't, but I'm just trying to get relationships built in these organizations. Could you help me with that?" And boy, I'll tell you, I get, one or two almost every time I do that.
wow. Great. Great. That's another good conversation starter with people in your network. But I just want to set a precedent that every conversation you have, it's okay for you to ask for a referral. How you do it is really up to your style and the process that you follow. But it is one of 5 outcomes to a sales call. If you think about the 5 outcomes to a sales call, there's a yes, we're going to buy. There's a no, we're not going to buy. There's a clear future where something is going to change in the future. There's a lesson that you learned when you debrief it, and there's a referral when you ask for it. But it's only going to happen if you ask for it. And that's really going to determine your reputation of how committed are you to your customers, how committed are you to the industry that you serve, and how committed are you to growing your business.
All right, great summary. And so get out there and get some referrals, because once you've been referred, it's a lot easier sale than a cold call.
It really is. It's that transfer of trust.
All right, well, let's wrap up with our golden nugget and information. This is from Steve Martin, and those of you who are Steve Martin fans,
Love Steve Martin.
You've kind of listened to his voice. I love money. I love everything about it. I bought me some pretty good stuff. Got me a $300 pair of socks. Got a fur sink, electric dog polisher, a gasoline-powered turtleneck sweater, and of course, I bought some dumb stuff too.
Sounds like something out of the 70s or 80s.
Oh yeah, probably off his "Let's Get Small" album, which I was listened to 1,000 times. Anyway,
As we wrap
I
it
love money, so don't go out and buy that dumb stuff.
Everything we talked about is at winningatselling.com. And again, this is episode 604. So check it out on our show notes.
Next week, book club is The Psychology of Money, chapters 2 and 3. Get it if you haven't. Good book. And the topic is the entrepreneurial salesperson. Do you really own your business? Please subscribe, share the podcast with your colleagues and on your social media. Go out and get better one skill at a time.
Joyful selling.